Hi, everybody. It's Mr. Gray here. Happy New Year. We're into 2022 and almost to the second half of the school year. And I'm so glad we're coming back to school and just getting going on 2022. So to start off for this week, I have a bunch of announcements on things coming up, and then I'll get to the academics of the week. So first, there's a bunch of links on the updates page, the Google Doc that has like the week by week schedule. And so you can look at that to see anytime I mention that this is a link on the updates page. So the first is GATE and APIS. There's a link with all the information you need, the timeline of what's coming up, and where to go to look for more information. And of course, you can always email me if you have questions. Some dates coming up. There's no school on Monday, January 17th and Tuesday, January 18th. Both those days, no students at school. There is a flag football tournament coming up that is like schools play against each other, and there are teams all the way down to third grade. So there's a third grade team, and you can represent Santiago Hills on the flag football team. The actual tournament is just one day on January 29th, and there's a link on the updates page to register. It's called Winter Bowl. There's another few things coming up, and one of those is called Global School Play Day. Now that is February 2nd, and that is a day dedicated to play all day. So it's just, there's a lot of research about play and kids and how important it is. We do games in our class every week, but this day is just play all day. Inside play, outside play, games, all sorts of things. And so that is actually going to be Wednesday, February 2nd. And I'll send out some more information, but essentially we're going to be playing all day, and it's going to be great. Open house is currently scheduled for February 17th. I haven't heard anything about in-person or online. We don't know. I'll send you that information as we get closer. But that actual day, February 17th, is a minimum day. And open house is scheduled for 6 to 7 p.m. in whatever form that takes. There is also no school in February on the 18th and the 21st. So that is a Friday and a Monday. The Friday is a teacher work day, so all the teachers will be at school, and Monday is President's Day. So that will be a 4-day weekend in February. And then getting out to March, on Wednesday, March 2nd, is going to be Read Across America Day, and that is a read all day day. And so that is coming up. Of course, I'll send out more information, but that one's pretty easy to explain. We just read all day, and it's going to be great. Some other things going on, the Santiago Hills has a running club. There's a link on the updates page for where to register. And then I have a couple links to multiplication and division facts practice. Yes, we got to keep doing those and continue working on those. And of course, if you have questions about kind of where your student stands in that area, please let me know. And then there's also a link to spelling words, and I'll keep that link like readily available somewhere. And that way, if students miss out on the spelling words during the week, there's a place where you can find them. Of course, you can always email me, and I'll talk a little bit more about spelling words in a second. Okay, so that's all the big announcements coming up and the days off coming up. We have from now until the very end of March, until the next spring breaks, we have many, many weeks, like 12 or 13 weeks in a row. And so those are kind of the big things coming up. And of course, I'll add to that as we get forward. So for this week, in Reader's Workshop, we're going to get back into the routines of Reader's Workshop. We're starting this kind of extended period. And so we want to have that be really strong as we're getting back into things. So that's going to be getting back into just the routines, and also talking about like how to choose just right books that fit me as a reader, but also now at this point in the year, like lifting the level of those books, being open to different kinds of books, more difficult books, because I've done work already this year, and because at the end of third grade, I shouldn't be reading the same books as the beginning of third grade. Just like if I'm in sixth grade, I shouldn't be reading the same books as kindergarten. So we're gonna talk about that this week and how to choose books. When we talk about improving our reading stamina, the best practices of students when as they're reading and I'm doing individual conferences with them. And of course, we're going to start Friday being a time for kind of group discussion or group work where the kids will actually get to talk to each other about the analysis they're doing, the thinking they're doing about their books. That will lead us next week into a unit called Character Studies, and the kids will both be reading a book of their choosing, as well as being in a book club where all the students in the club are reading the same book. So that will start sometime next week, and that will take us through several weeks for Reader's Workshop. For Writer's Workshop, we're going to start this week with a creative writing unit. And before that, just on Monday, we're going to write about our experiences over break. And we're going to talk about how to organize our thinking, whether it be a timeline or a list of categories or a list, like a ranked list of things I thought of best. And then we'll get into a creative writing unit and how to kind of put together the elements of creative writing: character, setting, problem, and solution. And so that's going to take us through, again, a little more than a week, and then we'll get into our next writing unit. Another thing that's happening kind of in the realm of language in literacy is we're going to start cursive. So we're going to start practicing cursive printing, and the kids have a workbook at school, and we'll just work on it at school, and that will happen about once a week. And then the second thing is spelling, like I mentioned before. So the way this is going to work now is that the kids will get their spelling words on Tuesday, and their homework for the week, which can be partially done at school, will be to choose a few of those words and write silly sentences that has to do with those words. And we'll practice that together and what that looks like. So you're using the word in the correct context, but you're making it silly just for entertainment purposes. And then they also should go home and practice the words with someone at home. So that person can give them the list, they can say the words, and then the kids can practice spelling those at least once, between Tuesday night and Thursday night. And then they'll take a spelling quiz on Friday. And so the kids will have, I think at the start, there's about 15 words per list. And then toward the end of the year, it'll bump up to 20. But that is what's going on with spelling. And of course, again, if you have any questions, let me know. For math, we're going to kind of get into the end of our multiplication section, and it's about applying multiplication to area. Now, to talk about area, we're also going to talk about quadrilaterals, rectangles, and squares. We're talking about perimeter, and then we'll get into actually talking about and looking at area on graph paper, and then we're actually going to measure the area of things inside our classroom and outside our classroom. All of that together will take a couple weeks, and then that's kind of what's going on in math. We'll be finishing up the everyday practice of multiplication as well as area and perimeter. That will not stop, hopefully, math facts practice that's happening at home. We'll get into division next, and so we'll make this connection between multiplication and division, and hopefully that practice is going to continue throughout the year. And then in social studies, before we get into our next actual social studies unit, we're going to take about a week or so, maybe a week and a half, and to go over some map skills, talking about how to read maps, how to break down maps, looking at directions, scale, things like that. And then in science, we're going to get into our next unit, just do a little bit of introduction, and we're going to sort animals and plants into categories and see how they're similar. We're going to notice that all plants and animals are living things, but that they have other differences. And so we're going to kind of use that as a jumping off point for our next unit. So those are all the things that are going on. Again, as we get back into school, please let me know about any questions you have or anything you're thinking about going forward. But I'm really excited for 2022. In 2 weeks, we'll be halfway through the school year, believe it or not. And then we'll continue going. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the school year and to a really great 2022. All right. Bye-bye.